Chapter 4, The Fishmonger, 2019. Scene 9, Jasira. When the Toyota Corolla rounded Riverbend Park, Jasira leaned so close to the passenger door that her face almost touched the window. She could feel the driver's eyes, sharp and leering, staring at her dark, wavy hair, olive skin, and long, elegant features. She was accustomed to the searchlight intensity being reflected in the rearview mirror, for this had been a way of things since she was a student at International College High School. Now that she was 19, she developed the habit of ignoring men's desire and, far too often, women's envy. Besides, today was a special day. With a smile blossoming on her face, she let the tension of her journey wash away as she admired the stillness of the Charles River. When the signs for Akron Street and Memorial Drive came into view, Jasira turned just in time to catch a glimpse of the oasis at the end of the block. It was just like the picture, and not for the first time, Jasira was thankful for having been assigned such a conscientious mentor. The text and email started blowing up her phone before she left her house on Makul Street. The messages continued as she navigated the organized chaos of Beirut, Rafik, Hariri International Airport. Her mentor had even taken the time to check in at the very moment Jasira reached the baggage carousel at Logan International. Harvard, Jasira had texted back. Kalas, I am here. The sight of her mentor's purple two-story house signaled the end of a long journey, but when Jasira let out a sigh of relief, the car continued moving forward instead of making a left turn. Her mouth fell open as she swiveled around in her seat. Apparently, Akron was a one-way in the wrong direction, so the driver had to continue on to Hyman Street. The orderliness in the airport had been the first thing about America to impress Jasira, but this unexpected restriction on the vehicle was just too much. The Do Not Enter sign was an unjust barrier stupidly blocking the clearest path to her destination. She wanted to insist that the driver turn back until she heard the lever click and the turn signal beep. Oncoming traffic was light, so they didn't have to wait very long before taking the left. Like her mentor's apartment, many of the houses on this block had gable roofs and two sets of bay windows. Following another left, Jasira was delighted when she heard the driver's cell phone announce in a British accent, "In 1,000 feet, your destination is on the right." She reached into her backpack and pulled out her mobile, ready to confirm the rideshare was complete. Helping with her bags would earn the driver a better tip, but in reality, her most valuable possessions were strapped over her shoulder. The precocious Jasira Saeed had earned a ticket to Harvard by being the only teenager in the world to document the harsh reality of living in a failed state. Without knowing whether anyone would care, she started posting videos on YouTube. Within 6 months, administrators from the world's most prestigious universities were among her 100,000 subscribers. When she climbed out of the car and onto the curb, the driver did indeed get out, walk around to the back, and remove her bags. He had the look of a new university student, close to her age. Jasira held up her phone, a subtle nod that the trip had ended. But instead of turning around and going back to the car, the young man took a step forward. The hope in his eyes was familiar and usually preceded a request for her number, or worse, a desire to know where she lived. Oh no, Jasira thought, glancing around the quiet street. But then, at that very moment, a dog ran up and sniffed the grass that lay between them. His dark almond-shaped eyes, thick brown and white coat, and striking resemblance to a tiger made the driver dart into the street. Recognizing the breed, Jasira leaned down and let the Akita sniff the back of her hand. "Oh my God, sorry," said the fit Japanese woman who darted forward to grab the dog's leash. She was striking, with jet black hair that curved like a mane along her slender, milky white neck. When the driver slammed the door and sped away, the dog raised his head and straightened his back, looking for all the world like a royal sentry. "Good boy, Tora," the woman said. "Good boy." Jasira laughed. "You let him go?" She smiled, On purpose? The woman's pretty face twisted into a wicked grin. Fucking Uber drivers, she sucked her teeth. I have to deal with that bullshit all the time. The Akita opened his mouth with an expression of pure pleasure as its owner stroked the back of his neck. Toro is my way of saying, the woman used her thumb and index finger to form a gun. Just take the money and go, honey. Nothing more to see here. I'm Jasira. She extended her hand. Midori. The entire world shrank down to the warmth of 5 fingers. The assertiveness in Midori's grip hinted at an intent to lay claim, setting Jasira's heart aflutter. The sound of her pulse flowed from her chest to her head and seemed to consume the entire street until, over her shoulder, another woman exclaimed, "Marhaba." Jasira had seen her mentor in about a dozen photos, but nothing prepared her for the 5-foot-tall Levant beauty. The fullness of her figure pushed against the fabric of her plain white and gold dress. Mariam Khalil wore a yellow hijab over her bright, round face, which was smiling as she repeated, "Marhaba." Midori had a look of confusion on her face as she released Jasira's hand. Catching her eye, Jasira mouthed the words, "It means welcome." "Oh, okay," Midori mouthed back. Settling into the Levant culture that she knew so well, Jasira clasped her hands together and said, "Mariam, I am pleased to meet you at last." The other woman shooed that formal greeting away as if batting a fly. With her arms outstretched, Mariam hurried forward and embraced Jasira. Jasira appreciated all the support she got from the program, but this was perhaps the most important feature. Being wrapped in Mariam's arms was like being hugged by the entire Levant. When they broke apart, Mariam looked around and said, "Who was that woman?" "Midori," Jasira said, by way of introduction, but when she looked down, the Japanese girl with the striking black hair, milky white skin, and soft, warm hands was no longer on the street.